All right.
I really like being able to see ourselves.
Because we're true professionals. Crack open a bevy. Because we're getting lit tonight. Litter and lit, boy.
All right.
Okay, so my very first question to you, since I am the captain now.
You're the captain.
What do you?
Yeah.
Just
I
kidding.
don't like these. Man, I'd like different ones that go lower.
This is the first time I've set up the podcast slightly. It's funny. I started it in that one, and then I decided not to.
It's a little better.
No, I was just thinking about business. And it resulted in me realizing, why are we doing all this? What's it all for?
To get to work together,
What's it
buy a
all
house.
mean? Yeah, that's pretty much it, isn't it?
Pretty much it. Everyone talks about like, oh, when you get big enough that you have employees. I'm like, nah.
I know. I just want to avoid employees as much as humanly possible. The more I think about it, the more I'm like, I don't want that.
Ain't gonna happen.
I don't need that.
I don't need that.
What a legend.
Legend. Didn't even know it.
Literally on a walk with a dog, off leash. Dude was like, I don't need that. He had fucking white all over his nose too. He was like sunscreen.
He was a star in the making. Hopefully someone's picked up that diamond in the rough and shined him off a little bit. It's like Chang in that later episode of Community where he gets like, oh, what's up, girl? Like he gets that like saying, but his would be, I don't need that.
Yeah, the ham girl.
Yeah, because it'd be such a damn girl, whatever it is, ham girl.
Yeah.
If it's just such a deep internal thing, I don't need that. No. Because, yeah, it's your dog just getting a little close to him. And now it's funny enough we do that.
Yeah. Dude was a legend. Anyway, so yeah, what's it all for? I'm with you. I got a little lost.
To buy more Coke.
I want Coke money. But really, it's like, do you want a nice car? How much money is enough money?
In a bank account? Or assets? Like, do I have a house and then how much money in a bank account? How much money would be a house, enough money to fix it up, enough money that we don't have to take jobs we don't want, have to wake up at a time we don't want, have to wear anything we don't want, have to work with anyone or talk to people we don't want. You and I don't have employees. We get to work on projects that we feel fulfilling and we enjoy making, and we feel proud of the product and the impact that it has on the world, and it allows us to travel 1 out of every 3 months, ideally, or 1 out of every 4 months. So like 2 or 3 months on, 1 month off, 2 or 3 months on, 1 month off. That's my...
Travel in what, like, level?
Take off in a different way than we've been taking off. Take off and...
Like, be able to do a rental car and not, like, think about it? Or, like, oh, we can do that, but we gotta, like, budget.
You know, a rental car and Airbnb is for a fucking month. You'd need to be a billionaire.
Just to afford rent in this economy.
Yeah. Just, yeah.
Swear to God.
Especially a rental car and Airbnb.
That's what I'm saying.
But it's like, once we own the home, it's like...
Yeah, owning the house is big. Okay, so...
This is actually the first time Kenzie and I have ever talked about priorities and or what we want in life, so this is really big. We made it 7 years. And I don't even know, like, where do we want to live? Or are we going to... Like, we haven't talked about any of this.
No clue.
It's crazy.
Do you want kids?
I haven't learned... It took me, like, 3 months to learn your name. We're moving slow, aren't we? Yeah, I want kids. Like 7 or 8 of them fuckers.
Oh, my God. Ew. That's too many.
7 or 8.
Unless you want to pay for the surrogate, I'm not down for that. I'm hardly down for one. I think it's gonna kill me. It might.
Gotta crack a few eggs to make an omelet.
Oh God. Well, except for if that egg is key.
Yeah, that's true. But he'll be born in your vision, image.
Like God.
You'd be like God. Think about how many people still talk about Jesus this long later. Yeah, exactly.
Being dead has some perks.
That's perks.
As long as you know.
You finally get the flowers.
Finally, the flowers. Yeah, that's all fair. It's just hard to put that in like an actual number as like a more concrete goal.
Like Mark said last night, it's an intangible.
Intangibles are hard, but they're valuable.
There's a really good quote. It's the price of getting what I always wanted was having, or the price of like getting what I wanted was finally finally getting it and realizing it's not what you wanted. So it's
okay,
like
Billie Eilish. No, I'm kidding.
Yeah, it's funny. No, I don't remember who. It was someone on a podcast.
I feel like I've heard it before and it's good. Yeah.
Next topic.
Anyway.
Cut that one off.
The war. No war. But really, I don't know.
In Iraq or here? The war.
In my mind.
My mind. Should I get back on this drug? No. Yesterday was a doozy for me. Definitely learned a few lessons there. 1.
Did you?
Save some party for tomorrow. 2. Some may say we all have blind spots. I'd like to say we're all retarded at something. we all have something that we fundamentally just have something blocking us from learning or knowing. It's like we're slower learners. We're all slower learners at one aspect of life or another.
Yeah.
It's not necessarily a blind spot. I'm aware of it, so it's not really a blind spot. I'm just retarded in a couple ways.
Like getting in your own way. Would you say?
No, I'm trying to help myself succeed. I'm habit tracking. I'm like, we're locking it up. I'm not getting in my own way. I just fundamentally am slower at learning like self-control and moderation with drug use than other people.
Because you keep... Sorry.
You're
bevy.
You're not sorry.
I'm not sorry. Because you like keep learning, like having to relearn the same lesson of like, oh, I drank too much, or oh, I took 13 different drugs in one day. Like,
yeah, I mean, slightly different each time. You know, if hopefully I don't deal with like that exact thing again. Of like, oh, maybe blank 5 drugs and ketamine will work well together. It's like, probably not. You know, and now I know that
with no food,
all day. So it's like I don't need to learn that exact lesson again. But like I'm probably learning.
How many times have you learned that exact lesson?
Have you ever seen me that nauseous? So not that one.
Yeah.
That's what I mean.
But how many times have you gotten nauseous from doing too many drugs and not eating?
I mean, if it's really low, like I just take too much nicotine after an all-nighter, I throw up, I'm like, I don't really care all that much. I'm just like, it's a really light lesson. And I'm getting definitely better at like self-moderating that. It's like, but like again, it's just slow learning in terms of like, what I got from that is, ketamine doesn't do well. Like, or like if specifically, I'm a slow learner. I'm not like, I'm going to completely not take any drug. It's just, it's just like, you gotta.
Yeah.
And learning moderation and like how you run your meat suit is it's a hard task because I'm close to it. It's like you detectives like, last year you're too close to this case.
Yeah, totally.
But we're
you're too close.
we're a little close to the case, but you still have to work on it.
Yeah. Yeah. Speaking of being too close to the case, something that's been on my mind lately is I feel like we have a lot of opportunities, which is a good place to be.
Great.
But then it's like, okay, but which opportunity, which chess piece, which chess move is the best move?
Follow God, whichever person is replying and is seeming like a good thing.
Yes,
like
but...
we have the moondog thing. That person was replying. That's following God. To follow whatever, the path
that's
of least
a passion.
resistance.
That's a passion, for sure.
Going to the sauna and meeting Martin, that was the path of least resistance. I wasn't struggling.
I feel you, but like... I don't know. I guess what I'm seeing, and maybe I haven't communicated it, is like there's a lot of different ways we could make income. You can't see my hands. Maybe we should angle these more for my hands.
We could.
No.
We need a wider brick wall, though. Expense that shit.
But you know what I mean? Like, I think we're making really good progress. In the end, I do think it's going to take more than like a couple months to make like a really thriving business.
Can't really name a business that makes money the first month or two. And technically we are up. Like, I mean, we're going to be paying taxes this year.
Go us!
Yeah. So I'm like, it's such a no-brainer that it's like, and you know.
I'm not trying to talk negatively about it, but more than anything, I'm like,
assessing.
There's a lot of things like with media.
Yeah.
That's what I really learned this year. That's been my big like crow that I'm willing to eat.
Big word, yeah.
Yeah. Is like, I didn't think I needed to learn video. I didn't think. But now I know.
Yeah.
It's so...
How everyone always does that.
But yes. You know what I mean, though? Like,
I do.
Do you know how many different options we could make money with media? Have you thought about it? You're just...
It's probably close to... Yeah. I'm what?
You're following God.
Following God.
What's that mean for you?
It's how I stay at peace. Like how when we're hanging out there and I make like one of those really quick jokes that like Sam's like, oh, that's surprisingly funny. Is that I have none of that on my mind except for being it's like the Naval song that someone made. I don't know if you actually listened to it or you just like heard the song. I like showed you. I'm like, this is what I was going to do with Kanye and Joe Rogan.
I didn't realize that was a song.
Yeah, someone made a song and they just used bits of Naval speaking.
The images were so distracting that I was like, I heard the words and I saw the images, but that was all I could capture with my brain.
In short, it was it's actually cool to like listen to the message because it's a good part of Naval's whole thing. This should be super quick.
Yeah, it's okay.
But the core. I mean,
yes,
who knows?
Yes.
Yeah, it's
I
like
get I get the sentiment.
Yeah, it's like like my ego can be like, well, I want to be a cinematographer. I don't care. I want to see what people will pay me for. Mm-hmm. I mean, at Youth Era, we've done nothing but develop new skills and do new things that I didn't know were even an option. Did either of us think that was an option that we could go toward?
Nope.
No.
Nope.
And turns out I enjoyed it thoroughly.
Yeah.
So
I really like
by
the
saying
video.
I want to do this, as much as I'd hate to bring it up, like the whole like podcast, like you can't like
It's
veer
Kentai.
life.
Fuck it.
You can't like veer life. It's like, and I was like disagreeing with it because I'm like, you definitely can, and we can choose to take something, but it's
Yeah.
like following God for me means like, like recognizing an opportunity when it presents itself.
But there's like, some you can also have strat too.
Yeah, I mean, we clearly have strat. We're developing. So, like,
Yeah.
Thomas was a great example. We were out to dinner, and he was not feeling down, but he was like, the dishwasher thing. I told him, like, Thomas, you have a great, like, in terms of, like, accolades, you have a very specific skill set, and there's, like, the different kinds of luck. There's random luck of, like, oh, you buy one lottery ticket and you happen to win. Crazy. Or there's two, hustle luck. You buy 100,000 lottery tickets. You're bound to win one of them eventually if you keep buying that every
Some
year.
amount, yes.
So you do enough work and you're bound to get luck. And then there's specialized luck of we are the best people in Eugene who are good at
X.
At not even X.
Oh, okay.
Making a video that can be an ad or that can be this. Posting ads in terms of like targeting and stuff, understanding the client customer while also being enjoyable to work with. Like it's like, so then when an opportunity presents itself to the community, it's like, we're really just looking for someone who's like easy to work with, can make a really good video or photo if needed, like just someone who like kind of like
The all around,
yeah,
the
it's like,
total package.
that's an opportunity that we have kind of like strategically, but just by being authentic and following what we enjoy, we have become the foremost eventual person. Because you can't be like, I want to be this. Then you're competing with everyone else who's going to be like. That's why drop shipping I thought was so dumb. It's like he's competing with everyone else who's drop shipping.
Totally.
We are competing with ourselves. That's why it seems like we're playing every day.
Yeah.
It's because we are. We're following what we enjoy. We're doing what's authentic, and when an opportunity presents itself, such as you enjoy the farmers market, you went there and you realize there's a lot of businesses here. Maybe I'll talk to them. The ones that talked back to you, and then you realize like you're seeing opportunities and you're finding how those puzzle pieces fit in with ours. And so that's what I said to Thomas. I'm like, Thomas, like, once you build enough of these, there's bound to be something that's like they need someone with those skills that you developed. So that's like we're a mix of kind of not really hustle luck. Like we do put in a lot of work. Just because it lasts forever, so it's easy to like look back at everything. Whereas if we were just like, you lose it. If we don't have any of those videos to show, I'd be like, look at the gear we have in the video we can shoot right now. But so we have it forever. So hustle luck's in our favor.
Yeah.
And specialized luck mixed with just recognizing what opportunity and seeing if we like it. So that's why I don't like to like put a label on it, but like, follow God.
Yeah.
As someone who wrestles with God frequently.
Frequent wrestling.
Frequently in personal life, I enjoy following God in. I mean, we just talked about it today on the walk. Not so like, I mean, this is, I was like, take the reins, but like, if I'm not over talking.
No.
On the walk, I was like, it's funny that
whenever I'm like, hey, Tiger, you want to do a podcast? It's more or less just like, hey, I have a lot of ideas that I want to like hash out. Flush.
We were on the walk and I said, 2 of the times in my life when I played it the most nonchalant were the 2 of the times when I was like kind of most desperate. Like, okay, right when I met Mark, I was still living at my parents'. I was like kind of at the end of the rope in terms of like, okay, the podcast really isn't going to become anything. And then I met him. I was hanging out with him, and he was kind of like, "What could you do around here?" I was like, I don't really want to like, like I essentially said no at first. It was like a very hard to get kind of thing.
It was pretty cool.
And then when we met Martin, like we worked for free for a little bit, and then we like danced around, and it ended up becoming something really good.
He stared at his balls a lot in the sauna.
One more glimpse at those, and I would just be happy to die. It's like one of those things where forcing it really it seems just like it just doesn't do well for me ever in life.
It feels bad. It's not good for me.
Not good for you.
It's not good for you.
Yeah.
It's not good for anybody. Anyone or anybody.
Anyone. It's not good for any of us.
It's not good for me. It's not good for you. It's not good for anyone.
Any of us. It's any of us.
Anyone. Anybody.
See Martin too. We'll ask Martin tomorrow.
It's whatever sounds the best.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway.
But that's my take, and that's why when you're like, I don't know our direction, I'm like, we can see we're making progress every day. We're learning the gear. We're getting new gear. We're meeting with new people. We're like it is just a continual thing forward. We're not even close to desperation in terms of, again, we haven't hard asked anyone, not even any of our long-term contract. Like we haven't hard asked anyone. We're developing. I mean, it's funny. The thing I finally wrote back to Zach Cataldo because he wrote me the Kanye thing. And I listened to like the whole Kanye podcast and I was like, all right, I re-listened again before replying. Biggest takeaway this time is how I agree and have integrated the idea that relationships are more valuable than money, which Kanye brings up an hour and 32 minutes into the Joe Rogan podcast.
Timestamp.
I'm like, it's a weird thing to be like, oh, it's like that. But really, I mean, how do you get...
That's long-term shit.
How do you get
Big
killer
pie.
rent? And that's like, what we want.
I feel like we learned a lot yesterday. We're hanging out, partying, kicking it, chatting, playing Clask, which is really fun. Had a good time. Thanks for showing me that.
Quick learner.
But yeah, it's hard to think of life in terms of big pie. Everyone's little pea monkey brain is very much like, okay, how do I get money? How do I get money now? How do I get this now, like as fast as possible? It's our brains just trying to be efficient. But I'm like, what's the best chess move to win the whole match? That's what I'm like trying to figure out and learn. And it's a fun game. It's a fun thing to think about because there's no right answer.
Yeah.
Because you don't know what move your opponent's going to give. You have ideas.
The opponent being the opportunity, like the rest of the world.
Exactly.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
And that's why, like, hopefully I've like, you at some point, I'm like somewhat seen as someone who's like made a lot of like long-term like things. You know, like I don't do a lot of short-term things.
Who do you think's my inspo?
I know. Oh, that feels good to hear. But it's like it doesn't get recognized a lot, or like it's an unspoken thing.
It's intangible.
It's intangible. But and that was one of the things that really confuses me about us. Is because I don't remember who I was talking to. Is Shane, the person who runs like the angel investing fund in Eugene with Joe Marushak, the rain thing. I was over at his house just at the beginning of Arkham, and I told him, yeah, I might get a job there. Something about Adderall, but he said like people like on Adderall and meth and those sort of drugs, they're just like money now. Like it's dopamine. Yeah. And dopamine is I finish a task, I feel rewarded. And I also brought it up on the Nick Allen podcast that I'm like, I thought like DMT like broke that part of my brain or whatever, but it's like serotonin is like longer term. Like, oh, I'm exercising, I'm getting sunshine, I'm eating good, I'm spending time. Like it feels good in a longer term sense. And like, I've just really, not like rewired my brain, but like my brain has definitely to this point in life been very like, that feels better for me. But we take Adderall often, but we don't get in these like short term, like necessarily, you know, it's like, it's funny that
you
the
might
Adderall,
not.
Yeah.
It's something that I've been like, I feel like every time we talk about something, when you're like, Kenzie, you've been doing really good at whatever. And I feel like a lot of times my response is like, it's hard. It's because I feel like I'm fighting my brain a little bit in that sense. Cause I'm very much like, my brain instinctually wants to go to like, now, how do I get money now? How do I do like,
so it's a driver, but you're still not enforcing it. Like when we're meeting with these people, you're not saying, I need money for this gig. Like it's
hard for me to like not want to, try and do that because I'm really trying to rewire. I'm trying to rethink. I'm trying to recalibrate into this like bigger mindset because I'm not going to get anywhere new.
I mean, like, to use the recent example, think about how good, if you were in their position, you'd been doing something for a long time. Someone offers to do, and we've kind of talked about this, but it'll be different actually, surprisingly or not. So you don't have to tune me out this time. Is like, so you've been working on something forever, and then someone finally is offering to do something for free and saying they like your work, great. But for the horse thing, imagine how much better you'd feel if someone asked you to pay them X amount of money versus you saying, wow, they did this for free, but I like this so much that I value it at this. Those are two different feelings about how I feel about that person, how I feel working with them. That was powerful.
Yeah. That was the best $200 I think I've made in a while. Because it was just unexpected.
Not even asked for. Here, you have the final product. We had not even no handshake. Our handshake was that this is free. And they want to pay you. That's such...
It felt... Like, it was a pet.
Yeah.
It was a big pet.
And that's probably helped plunk in like a marble into your... We used to use the marble metaphors. Plug a marble into your like, wow, long term. Like just like at treating people.
So that's where...
I'd like to work with Julia in the future. I like her. Like the people like that, you know?
Yeah. And I feel like it's recoverable when she was like, how much do you charge for this? And I was like, I'm so used to like devaluing myself and being like, oh, not that much. But I'm like, no, I feel like I'm expensive. I put a lot of time and care into that. I put a lot of fucking energy into making that
It's all about TLC with our business. With video editing, where you have a final product that lasts forever and an infinite amount of people can see. It's all about the TLC.
Let's be real. Okay, so even $200, I definitely spent probably close to 10 hours total looking at the footage.
Oh, way more.
I spent a lot
and you did it for free, which allowed you to spend all that time. So it's intangible. If she said $200 ahead of time, you probably wouldn't, so it's like this, and you learned a lot. You probably learned a boatload about it.
And the only reason I did it is because I wanted to.
Yep.
That's what made that so fucking special is I'm like, I don't give a fuck that it's $200. Right. I don't give a fuck that it's even free. I wanted to do it.
Same with
that was for me.
When we're editing Nelson's, I'm just like, wow, this is fun footage of like, oh, how am I going to fit all this together? I love it. Phones are so much easier than cameras. Just like thinking about it, I'm like, most of the footage is from the phone. I mean, phones are so nice. Oh my God. We kind of owe like part of the reason I don't feel bad about getting the new iPhone when it comes out. I'm like, we owe like a lot of where we're at. Like obviously to Mail, like to Mark, to Martin, to Chris Cantelmo, to my parents, like to so many people. But like this single piece of technology got us where we were making TikToks. We were making a TikTok a day. We started Good Marketing Works making one TikTok a day for $2,000 a month.
It's fucking hard to make a TikTok a day.
$2,000 a day between the two, but like $2,000 a month, like kind of like we were both,
Yeah.
And then we got bumped up to whatever. It's insane. It's insane.
Yeah, the thing about shooting with your phone is I think it's hard for people. Like, okay, so imagine this: you go to a shoot for a client and you come with a phone versus a camera.
Oh yeah.
People are so much more impressed with a camera because they don't understand it.
I don't understand it.
What's funny though is if you have more skill, you can have someone with way more skill and a phone make a 10 times better video than anyone with a fucking camera who has less skill.
Oh, 100%.
Like that's the thing that people don't realize, and I think that's really it's pretty funny.
Just here, like in front of it sometimes. I just move it a little
I'm
further.
just excited.
I'm with you. No, I mean I'd rather have Quentin Tarantino with my iPhone than even us with a Ari Alexa, End of the day.
And that's the thing.
Or maybe not him, but his DP.
Yeah. The dialogue. Would you take a Quentin Tarantino script with iPhone footage?
So people have listed that out. Like, there's like, okay, perfect lighting, perfect audio, perfect script, perfect actors, perfect, all the things. And it's like, okay, you get to pick 3. How do you, like, what do you pick to make your movie?
Yeah.
And it's like, ooh, a perfect director. Like, there's like all those things. And I'm like, woo, that's fat. Because obviously perfect lighting, that's how you get the Tag Heuer commercial.
Yeah.
Perfect light, or like how you get the just that look, Perfect audio, worth $1 million fucking dollars. My God. So it's like it's all so important. So when you're like listing a couple, I'm like, no, but there's also like lighting and like they go. It's we found a niche that, or like a skill that we love that is infinite. You can just do it forever, and we're never gonna be like I know nothing to learn.
I feel like one of the most beautiful things in life is
Ducks. For sure.
Ducks.
I couldn't agree with you more.
All right. And cut. No. Most beautiful thing in life is ducks.
Is? Did you lose it? No.
No, of course not.
Is what?
It's just, I don't feel like I have the words to describe it, but like that chasing of perfection. I don't know what it is about that.
Is the most beautiful thing?
Yeah.
Or like feel good thing?
Most
enjoyable thing?
I don't know if I have the wordsmithing to convey.
Try it.
How like.
Try it. You can't get better unless you try explaining something you don't know how to.
Yeah.
That was a nice compliment you gave me the other day. You're like, you're good at explaining exactly what you mean.
Yes.
Which I did by trying, like, just stammering essentially, and just like, all right, I'm gonna find a way to like put what's in my head into this person's head. Understand me.
And that is marketing.
And now I never don't feel heard. It's like it's a beautiful thing. I'm like, all right, I'm gonna find a way. I will not accept. I wasn't like listened to, or like I wasn't understood.
I wasn't heard.
Like because people, like, I mean, Rick Dan, like a lot of people like feel like, kind of like, no one understands me. I'm like, I'm gonna make them. They will.
And that is why you're the yin to my yang.
Yeah.
This isn't gonna really resonate with you, but like with horses, it's always like each step you're trying to make just a little bit better, just always in this hope for this one perfect moment, this perfect second, this perfect increment of time that I don't give a fuck.
And you get little glimpses at it.
Yeah.
That's the beauty of it. That's what's beautiful to me is when you get glimpses of what it's all for.
So you know how people call triggers?
Sure. Yeah.
Trigger?
Yes.
Yeah. No.
Like a trigger, like something that makes me like mad at you.
Yeah. Sure.
Sad. Sad at you.
Yeah. Whatever. Then there's this other side of the spectrum, which people are coining glimmers. That's what it's all about. It's finding those little glimmers, those little moments, that perfect stride, that perfect step, that perfect shot, that perfect lighting, that perfect whatever it is.
That gives you that tingle.
Ooh. That's the drug I could chase forever.
Yeah.
And
as long as it's fueled by Adderall. Ayo. Zinger.
I don't need to be fucking called out like that.
What do you think is going to be like transitioning from kind of like using Adderall to derive a lot of the motivation to follow that glimmer to having it naturally. We've gotten off a lot of drugs. Kratom was a big one. Like, like we're doing well. Like, I'm done with caffeine. Really, I don't like drinking all that much. Like,
Yeah.
what do you think that trend is? Like, Adderall is going to be the big final one? The final loss?
I don't know.
It'll probably take low stakes projects.
Yeah.
I mean, we fucking needed it for Samso. We were doing all-nighters all the time. We were like, we got to get this shit done.
Yeah. No, I'd like to use Adderall as a tool, but I abuse it because I'm a dopamine fiend.
Use it as a multi-tool. Like, I get to always use it. Yeah. I don't know. I'm curious for that day because, I used to get the book down. Like, I don't even think on Adderall I could write a book now.
I know.
It's fascinating.
Yeah.
Has Adderall killed a, like, because
Has it killed the glimmer? Because sometimes with weed, I've noticed when we take little breaks from Adderall and we take a lot of weed and there's no pressure, it's for some reason, like, with pressure, I falter. That's
that's your own pressure.
Yeah. Oh, for sure. For sure.
And you like enjoy it though?
I don't know. Sometimes I feel like me and my brain are enemies, but I know that's not the truth. I feel like we just haven't found a way to. It's like my coworker and I are just not grooving, but we have all the like components to work together. We're just not like, we haven't figured out our communication style.
I mean, I was just reading a post on like Reddit. It was like people are like, "Do you ever think that meditation is a hoax?" And I was like, "That's a fascinating thought. I'll definitely read into that." And one of the things, like the top thing is essentially like you're not even your thoughts. Like if you meditate for a long time, you start to realize like these thoughts that pop into your head, like you're the aware, like you're the person who watches.
You're the observer.
Yeah,
yes,
but you're the person who like hangs out and watches those thoughts, and then you get to choose how you react to them. Mm-hmm. And then, what started this? No, I'm kidding.
Poorly.
And what started the conversation? What started this exactly? I got lost. I don't get lost in the sauce too often.
Finding glimmers without Adderall. Because Adderall's the fuel for me lately, which is why I'm like, this is not sustainable. This is not good, like, in the long term.
Oh, putting pressure on yourself.
Pressure.
So I started, and I'm like, and like we've read, or I don't know, I guess how many times you have, but like the Total Freedom by Krishnamurti, a handful of times, and like I get more and more each time, but like I would say I'm best friends with my mind or my brain.
Yeah.
Like I think just by like calling out, I'm like, that's not like, I'm like, even when I'm like, I had a horrible night in terms of like I was puking all night. It was not like having by many people a fun night. A lot of people beat themselves up for what they did. Mm-hmm. And then I was laying in bed and I was still not sleepy. I was starving, and I was really enjoying just being in my own mind.
And that's why you don't have shame. You and your brain are friends, which is something. Y'all are besties.
Besties.
Y'all have the best communication, like inseparable. That's the dynamic fucking duo.
And we have that of people. Yeah.
Oh, bitch.
Yeah. And what that took is just like not judging myself for literally anything. Any thought. Imagine like thinking of the most horrible thing ever and just playing it out in your head. And then a lot of times you'd be like, oh, that wouldn't help me in any way. And be like, oh, but I thought it through, I mean, thinking about like horrible. Anything. I'm not going to list something specific, but it's like, it's not a crime to think it, And then once you kind of realize that, you can just be like, okay. And then like things like pressure, like, oh, I'm putting a lot of pressure on like, I don't really feel a pressure. I like it just, I don't know. I feel really, I wouldn't even say at peace because I'm like, oh, I take all these drugs. Like I must be like trying to hide
But
from
you
something.
are at peace in the sense of like, you can take a lot of drugs and you can get lost in the sauce in that sense. Like we were talking about the other day where you're like,
I'm a fighter.
You're a fighter. You can get so fucked up. And like, that's when I get the most afraid. That's when I'm like, oh, I'm fucking lost in the sauce. I got to get out of here. I got to get back to my like sober reality because that's like what I know and that's the chaos I'm used to.
No.
But you can be out in the sea of fucking,
saying something that sounds insane.
Or just like out in the mental sphere of DMT or psychedelics or all these things that would cause a lot of people to be like, this is fucking too much, but you're like, I'm chilling.
It's helped a lot in terms of being there and being uncomfortable has made me just like, oh, it's just my own mind. And then I'm like, You know
what's funny is when you said that, I had a little click that happened of like...
I love little clicks. Little clicks are glimmers. They're a glimmer of a sense of...
We should start pointing out glimmers.
Glimmers, that's glimmer.
Glimmer. Yeah, it was a little bit of a glimmer in the sense of like, I see my self-criticalness of like, it's never good enough. It's never this. It's like, I see that as a positive trait. Mm-hmm. Because I feel like it allows me to... keep pushing or, it lets me like achieve something better or whatever. But maybe that's not true. Maybe that's like some old software.
I've never done my best under pressure. Like a healthy pressure would be like, again, it all comes down to following God. Pressure usually seems like I'm forcing something. For me, pressure seems like I'm pushing pressure to try to get something through. And it really seems, it's just something that I just looked at how the outcomes of my actions a lot of time in terms of talking with people, building relationships, doing work. And it really just seems like when there's pressure, it tends to be me forcing something. And then the outcome of it is like, oh, the other person, it falters away anyway. So I'm like, oh. So things where the other person's genuinely pushing it along. That's why, like, I didn't respond to the person who's like, oh, do you have any podcast advice? I'm like, it would just be like, it's just like you want someone who's like a dancing partner. Like they're kind of there with you. They're making it happen.
That's like a starfish of a conversation. Like they came into the conversation just like limp.
Yeah, essentially. Yeah.
Like as a dance partner, right?
A conversational starfish.
A conversational starfish.
Yep.
You're technically there. You're alive. You're eating.
But if there's an opportunity... And I was trying, like, I had a pressure, or like, and that's not how you feel pressure. So I don't like mean to mean it that way. Like, you feel like, what way do you feel pressure? When would you feel, and what does it feel like?
When would I feel it, and what would it feel like?
I might go grab my other bevy.
Yeah, you want to take a quick beat? Quick beat. Okay, so.
All right.
I want you to.
What up, camera bitch?
I want you to hold on to that question because it's a really good one, and I don't know the answer to it, so it'd be fun.
Oh, what was pressure?
What is pressure and what does it feel like? But first...
Because you feel emotions. So do you feel pressure? Yeah.
Yeah.
But first.
Hey, you fucking cunt. You called me a drunk alcoholic. I didn't drink a fucking drop, did I?
Up until then,
Up until then?
Funny enough.
You said that. You said, hey, you guys drink and party a lot. Me, I'm a Skeletor. And I said, you know what? I'm gonna then, you fucking bitch.
If I'm painting this bad guy, I'm gonna play the role.
Yeah.
I don't know when I came up with that. Part of the reason we work so well together is whenever one of us says something that's like funny or kind of profound, the other one's like, yeah. And then it kind of like, it's like when Zubair started wearing my clothes, I'm like, yeah.
Monkey strong together.
I said that and like a lot of people wouldn't agree with me when I was like, you know, if like no matter what, like, I mean, the Kim situation was perfect and you didn't. Like you're a saint back then. A lot of people are saints, but I'm like, I'm at the place in life where if no matter what I do, I'm going to be painted as a bad guy. I'm going to play the role. I'm going to
play the role.
Fuck it. Fuck that. Like, I feel the only time I feel guilt or bad in life is when shit like that happens and I still try to do good. Like, the time and energy wasted trying to do good for a lost cause hurts me. I'm like, I could have done that, spent that energy trying to better my life.
Water in the weeds.
Yep.
Water in the weeds, baby.
So.
I've taken the saint role a lot in life. And there's times when I think it's applicable, and then there's times when I'm like, no, I'm fucking tired. I'm done. I'm sick of it. I don't feel like I fucking deserve it. Okay?
Yeah.
I bared the brunt of JC, along with you. We together bear the brunt of JC. We didn't ask for shit. Who gets shafted?
Not the landlord.
Not the landlord.
I'm not against landlord. I love shitting on tenants. Like, I'm not above it. Like, I'm like, you know, some landlords are like deserve what they like it's all good, but like this specific landlord. I'm not making this political when I'm saying landlord.
What if she got like diagnosed with cancer?
Good.
Though? I know. Oh, good. Oh my God.
Fucker.
I don't know.
Seems like a lot of people are diagnosed with cancer. Like, maybe I should be a nice person. Not like I'm just done. You bitch.
I'm sure the shoe will, eventually be on my foot. Maybe. I don't know. The whole thing is, I'm like, I don't sign up for jobs unless I do them.
Unless I want, yeah. I mean, who could ever think signing up for a job would be having JC as a tenant for years and years and years?
That's what you fucking get when you're a landlord. That's what you fucking get. How many years? I'm not
gonna be a landlord.
How many years did that? Even if she was a bitch, even if she was a fucking pain in the ass.
How are we finally the people who are like, nah, not gonna let her win?
I mean.
Like, we just literally just
she still paid your fucking mortgage.
We just kept
She still made your asset double in value. Go fuck yourself. Mm-hmm. I don't care. I'm fucking done.
Back to pressure.
I'm tired of being the fucking person who just walks away from shit. I'm tired of it.
That makes me happy because I need a teammate. I feel like, I'm like not an evil person, but like, when it's warranted, I have a wrath.
Sometimes you got to turn up the fucking music at night. That's all.
I have a creative amount of wrath.
I don't want to hurt anyone. I'm not going to kill anything. I'm not going to do
anything
harm.
illegal.
I'm not going to do anything illegal. I'm not going to cause harm.
Everything within my means that doesn't cause harm, like
real lasting
harm or anything like physical or like even legal. Like But like, hey, like within the rules of the game, if you're being a bitch, all right, let's really see who can be more creatively evil, because God, I have a lot like that feeds me in a certain way. Like it's like, oh, it's kind of fun and enjoy. I'm all hyped up on the energy anyways.
Might as well direct it.
Yeah, I'm not gonna be like, I'm just gonna stop thinking about that in work. I'm like, no, you're gonna think about it when you're working, unless you think it through and you're like, yeah, you bitch, I'm gonna water the blackberries. Like just yeah. So I don't know. I feel more at peace. Like that's part of what it takes for me.
Yeah.
To just like not, just to be best friends with my mind is to not hate that part of me that wants evil upon a person who I feel it. And then a really important part of that, because a lot of people would say this, you'd be like, whoa, what would it take for me to be an enemy in your eyes? Is like
a lot.
It would take a lot to be an enemy in my eyes.
It would be trying to put an illegal eviction notice on our fucking front door without having a conversation with us like a reasonable human being.
And it takes someone who's ketamined out of their mind, literally thinking that time's reversing, to be like,
to be the negotiator in that deal.
That seems wrong. That doesn't seem right. That not only doesn't seem ethical. Oh, actually, that's not even legal. Like that's who it takes. If you're in a situation like that, I feel justified saying you're the enemy. Okay, and like, so like, if I ever thought like an evil thought of like, ooh, I'd like to like be evil to someone who's nice to me, I'd be like, would that ever help? Like, instead of empathy, you can just have, will this help me 10 years from now?
And I would say too, if the landlord called us and said, hey, it's been rough. I've been dealing with whatever. I'm sorry. I'd like to move forward in a peaceful manner. I'd be like, sick. Thanks for respecting me as a human being and talking to me. Let's start over. Like, I'm happy to start over almost like that.
Yeah.
To degrees, right?
To degrees.
To degrees. It's all variable.
But then, it's like there's ice that's not very thick at that point.
Yeah, exactly.
But it's like...
I'm willing to start over, though. Most people don't even start over.
I'm
like
ready
JC.
for a conversation.
JC never wanted to start over. I was happy to like let bygones.
It's not my fucking burden to deal with all these traumatized people in life. Feed them to the sharks. I don't give a fuck.
Yeah.
There's a lot of people who are fighters out there who want,
Yeah. If you want to be better, if you want to like step up and we can like elevate this to a, big brain level, I'm happy to do so. I'm happy to let bygones be bygones.
To bring it back to pressure.
Yeah, pressure.
Under pressure. So you feel stuff. So what does like pressure feel like for you?
It's kind of similar to desperate. I don't know. Maybe
that's a good look.
I don't know. It's a really, really good question.
Desperate's this very specific word that has such a thing in my mind of like, I mean, we were with someone who just put desperate on, like, I'm desperate to blank in a speech, and I'm like, that's not a good, it's just not a good word. It's not a good look. Martin, he had in his, like, I'm desperate to share our platform with you. And I'm like, you can be excited to share your platform with them.
Totally.
You could be like I'm excited to see the outcome. There's so many things, but like desperate. Mm-hmm. It's just like,
pressure doesn't feel good to me.
So if it doesn't feel good to you, then why do you think it's good? Like, do you not feel like you can have, like, a lot of comedians who drink or whatever, like, do drugs, like, oh, I can't be funny unless I drink, or like if a fat person gets a bunch of rolls, won't get rolls unless I'm fat. Do you feel like you wouldn't get stuff done unless you felt pressure?
Sometimes. I'm leaning towards yes.
Are your most productive times in life, were they during pressure? Maybe. Mine weren't, personally, but that doesn't mean it's you,
My
understanding is that stress kills people. Stress makes people go bald. Stress makes people get fat. Stress makes people... stress and pressure...
And I have this conflicting... I'm like Zuko in that sense of, like, I don't know...
Zuko! No!
Yeah. Like, I don't know if it's helping me. I don't know if it serves me anymore. If it serves me.
I feel so dirty saying all these spiritual terms because there's so many fucking people that are just full of it who talk like that. But there is a legitimate thing of like, does this like serve the betterment of myself?
I don't know.
For me, no. But like, I'm not even trying to like project that
on
you.
I know.
But, so I'm like, I don't know. Maybe it's a useful tool for you. I feel something,
Something that I've had happen this year is there was a situation that really solidified it of like, just because someone else doesn't see it but I see it.
What was the moment?
I see that I'm special, and someone made a comment. Someone made a comment. Probably
that I'm special and you're not.
Exactly.
It was odd.
And it was
uncomfortable for everyone else who was. They said me and someone else was special, and Kenzie, you and they are not.
Yeah.
And me and the person who said was special, I'm like, this isn't good for me. This isn't good.
Yeah,
Like,
exactly.
essentially, this isn't good for anyone.
And that's why I'm like, I don't think the sentiment.
Yeah.
I didn't.
But he obviously does think you're special.
Yeah, and obviously I see them as being special. They've done incredible things.
You shouldn't be so sensitive. Words are important.
But
Words
what I'm
and phrasing
saying,
are, yeah.
listen to the
It
sentiment.
was a good point for me to get it in, get
Yeah.
that little jab in there.
Sure. But it was valuable for me in the sense that, like, and that's one of my, like, you know, I'm real good at reframing. I'm
Yeah,
real
you're
good
great at reframing.
I'm real good at turning, you know, negative situations into positives. Like, Thomas was here and he was like, I didn't know your dad died early. I'm like, it was positive.
Yeah.
Because I, like, made it into something that was positive for me.
I'm the king of silver lining. You're the queen of reframing.
Yeah.
So it works well. So as soon as I say it, a silver lining,
Yep.
you're like, yep, reframed.
Yep.
And I'm like, great. So many people will be like, no, I'm really stuck on this. Like,
And that's what I mean by I'm like, I'm happy to
Yeah.
start over.
and that's what I love.
Today's a new day. Like,
What I
let's
love
fucking
and
get
respect
it.
about you is like so many people would be like don't reframe that. Like you reframe as easily as I like you present a problem and why you feel a certain way about it that I'm like isn't good.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I felt the same way.
You're my
and,
little silver lining.
and
You're
me
my
since-
little sunshine. Yeah.
Since I'm my best friend, I had to reframe it positively to myself. And so
Yeah.
here's the silver lining I found. And then
Yeah.
as soon as I share it with you, the second you're like, cool, and then you're over it. So many people
Yeah.
are just like, well, no, and like you're just
Yeah.
logic. Like not a lot of people are just logic based.
Yeah. So,
So
I don't know. I mean, you know,
I just don't know what pressure feels like. Like I don't know. I didn't feel pressure in the same. Like when have you felt pressure recently? When's the time you felt pressure? So I can see, did I feel pressure in this situation?
when have I felt pressure recently? I feel a slight twinge of pressure all the time. Oh, God.
So what does it feel like? Like anxiety, or it feels like physical or mental? What is feeling pressure like? It's interesting to like look inside.
Yeah.
Like, what does feeling pressure feel like?
No, I haven't thought about it.
no.
That's the whole thing where I'm like, that's a really, really good question.
One of my deepest like DMT moments of like understand like a deep core truth of understanding is I'm like, I don't know if I've ever fully related what feeling something feels like what is like even simple things like happiness or sadness like it's hard to even tell myself I like recognize or especially relate to other people. So I'm like pressure, like a lot of people would like hear that and be like, oh, pressure is like, and they categorize it, but I'm like,
Yeah.
I don't know what the fuck pressure means. Like it's like when you're telling a doctor, oh, my knee hurts. How does it hurt? And they don't hear it right, so they prescribe something wrong. Selling something mentally, I'm like, I don't know what the fuck pressure is like for you. You might be categorizing pain and discomfort, like being sore muscles from working out. You might be saying it's in pain, but it's a sore muscle. So I might be like misunderstanding what pressure is.
I just know that I'm capable of really, really good shit. And when I don't make good shit, I want to look
Is
at...
it like you don't accept them? Because if you don't make good shit, it's not because you're not capable of making good shit. It's because there were constraints such as, hey, you're going to get paid to record an event. Like imagine if we got paid for the CETO event and try to make it look like a highlight reel.
Totally.
They want it to look like the SAMHSA event. And by the time it's done, all the footage you have is people sitting around listening to someone talk. And you might feel like, I didn't make something good. You could feel like, whatever, but you like, I'm very kind to myself. In terms of like, oh, that's a reasonable excuse. Like I don't take any excuse, but like that's a reasonable excuse of like, what was asked isn't really possible, So do you not allow yourself that?
No.
Oh, you gotta be nice to yourself. Come on. That's why I'm such good friends with myself. So I'm like,
It's hard to figure out what is technically a reasonable excuse and what's not.
no.
Because I could see that, like, let's just play out the Sea-Doo thing is like, okay, make a highlight reel, make it look like really exciting, make it look really big. I could...
What's reasonable is if you could convince them that it's reasonable, and they're like, okay, I see it from your point of view. Like we've convinced of certain like like constraints.
Yeah.
Or certain realities.
Yeah.
Like the top of the dome doesn't
Sure.
look like the way it does
Sure.
in your mind. You want it to look like how
Right.
it does in your mind. That's a constraint that we relayed and it made sense to them. Therefore, it's a reasonable constraint for us too. I can live by that constraint if the rest of the world can. So the better you are arguing or convening.
Yeah, I don't know. I think there's both room for good pressure and good high standards. And like the perfectionist in me to live, and I think there's also the kind person. I think there's room for both, is what I'm saying. I think there's room for both, and I just haven't quite figured out that like balance just yet. Because, like, a lot of things I think can be prevented by telling people, like, a lot of clients come to us and say, I want you guys to do social media, with the idea they're in their head of like, oh, I'm going to get 1 million views and that's going to mean something.
Yeah.
But in reality, it's like, okay, even if I get you that viral video, let's pretend
That
for a
means you got
minute.
1 million views. Yeah.
It means you got 1 million views. Does it mean that you sold anything? Not necessarily.
Means you got any followers.
Did you get any followers? Did you get anything? You know, it's like
anything.
And a lot of people, like, so it's my fault that I didn't communicate that up front of like, look, I can do social media for you. You're going to see improvements across the board. But are you going to get that viral video?
And even then, you got to ask. That's why I said, like, it'd be fun to ask people when we start working with them, especially on the good marketing. Hey, what's your goal? And then, like, dive into their business and where their things are, and then tell them what we think their goal is. Like, because what we're trying to figure out with clients is what's the goal behind the goal.
Exactly.
What's the goal behind what they perceive?
Hat on the hat.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, they think, oh, my goal is X because it will lead to X or Y or Z. And we just need to be like, what's X, Y, or Z? Okay. Oh, yeah. We don't even need to hit that random thing that you saw TikTok of that said was important. Like,
yeah.
That's one really dumb person just telling you something, and they happen, you know, it's like,
and they happen to convince you because they were a good speaker, or they presented themselves, or whatever the fuck.
Yeah, it's like, no, like we don't need that. We can get you those without that. So it's like these false goals can be big constraints in life, holdbacks.
I don't know. Sometimes pressure is good for me. Sometimes I feel like it makes me work harder. Sometimes I feel like it makes me so self-critical that I get stuck. And that's where it's not. And that's where it's not productive.
Perfectionism's not great.
Yeah. So I'm like, I think there's room for both. And I haven't quite figured out how to like let those two parties work together.
I mean, I clearly, in video editing is a specifically hard thing. Like, I still have, like, I have some level of perfectionism. You see how many times I've
Totally.
The cop skit.
Totally.
Would be a great example of.
Part of why I love you is because I'm like,
there's some perfectionism
you
in there.
have the standard. You have a self-standard that you have.
And it's just shy of perfect. Honestly, it has to be just shy of perfect.
But you're realistic.
Yeah, I'm realistic.
Yeah.
But, like, part of the reason video editing is so specifically hard is, like, okay, are you going to delete that 200 gigabytes of source footage? So you have to say it's good enough. And it's just like, that's such a hard thing, where so many things in life, you can keep painting on that paint. You can just add a little paint right there. You can just X, Y, or Z. But
that's
like,
why video editing's been really good for me as like a mental exercise. You gotta
say goodbye. The footage is gone.
Yeah.
Or are you going to just keep stacking up SSDs? Pick one.
No, it's a good mental exercise. That's where everything, I'm like, it's a good mental exercise.
Yeah.
In some way. That's my reframing of like, if it doesn't turn out perfect, it was either a lesson or it's a practice.
With a couple extenuating circumstances.
Totally.
Get a kidney stone. Maybe there's a fucking lesson in there, but goddamn, you wouldn't want me saying, Kenzie, there's a lesson. It's like, no, let's just give
some
me,
things are just
give me the morphine.
Yeah, some things are definitely like, you know. But even still, like now, hindsight that I'm not getting migraines all the fucking time and I'm not sick and I'm not fucking in bed constantly, I'm like, it was a great thing. It was the biggest blessing I've ever had to have a migraine and not be able to do my clinicals. Could you imagine? I'd be a nurse right now. If I didn't have any health problems, if I was just cruising through life on fucking autopilot.
Would we even be together? Like, we would.
Maybe.
But, yeah.
No, it's legitimate. It's very legitimate.
Imagine life was taking me this direction. And I had to, I'm like, well, I want a place for my gear. I want to talk about gear. And you're like, come home from nursing and you're like, oh, I just saw all this horrific trauma. I have a lot of emotional baggage just from today's work that I only got paid however much for. Versus our days, we're like, I'm excited about this. I'm just learning everything that we talk about. There's no emotional trauma. It's just all good.
But I'm so grateful for that experience, because in the end, that pressure of someone might legitimately fucking die, that's nowhere near the pressure of like, oh, the video didn't turn out. Fuck it. You know what I mean? I mean, literally, like, I don't know if I ever told you about the guy that, like, I was literally just helping him go to the bathroom and he fucking fainted. I didn't know what to do. I literally panicked. And there's, like, buttons in the hospital rooms that are, like, emergency. And, like, you have stuff on you that you carry around that, like, signals everybody. It's, like, you know, red alert, like someone's having a heart attack, like, big things. And luckily, in that situation, the dude fainted, grabbed him, pressed those buttons, and everyone came. And all I did is, like, the second everyone else got there is I just went to the wall because I didn't know what else to do.
Yeah.
But that was the best choice because there was other people there to fix that problem.
Was it the pressure of someone dying, or was it the pressure of, hey, you now can no longer follow this life path, like this route that you've invested money and time into?
I don't give a fuck about that.
Really?
I don't care.
But you cared about that person. Do you think they're alive today?
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah. No, it was just like their blood pressure
I'm not
got
trying
too...
to paint myself as a monster
No,
here,
totally.
but,
No,
know,
that's a fair
like,
question.
It's a fair question of, like, what is pressure? Because, like, that would relate directly to why you maybe feel pressure at this is, hey, if this doesn't go well, if this person dies, this video dies, this client dies, I will no longer be able to X, Y, or Z. And it's like, you know, it's like...
And that's why I don't want to work...
Like, pressure seems to be like it has an impact on you.
That's why I don't want to work on projects I don't care about.
So, wait, do you feel pressure about things that don't relate to you then?
No. Like
But
the war
how
in
does
Ukraine.
That person dying...
Because I was the one responsible.
You were there, so it's just emotional. Like how
I was the one responsible for that.
But in a year or two, how does it relate to you? Like, it's great to be a good person, and I like, but I'm just trying to like, I just don't understand.
Yeah, that's fair. I don't do. I feel like I don't do things that I don't care about. I don't know if it's the reward system in my brain or whatever, but like. I don't know. I really do. I mean, I still think about people that I met 2 years ago in the hospital for a day, for 2 days.
It's the exact person who shouldn't be a nurse. Like, it's funny that, like, you were going to it, and me as someone who I'm like, if someone dies, I can no longer be this, like, a nurse, or like if I was a doctor and someone died because of my care, I would lose my license. That would be my pressure. Obviously, like, morally, like, I don't want the person to die, because, like, but like,
it's really,
more or less, I'm trying to, like, is it possible to live a life with zero empathy? Zero empathy would be if someone dies, you don't care, and it didn't impact your life at all, you don't care. But you have skin in the game in the sense of it would impact you, so then you care. I see. So that's what I'm saying. I'm like, do you feel the pressure because you have skin in the game, or do you feel pressure because something that if he died and it didn't affect your life in any way, it's like 5 years from now, like, you see what I mean?
I would forgive myself for that situation.
Yeah.
But, like...
There's always the pressure with life and death. Like, I haven't been there. I didn't know. I'm just, like, thinking right now.
No, that's a really...
I'm like, I usually feel pressure when like, if I do, it would be when it directly relates to someone's mugging me. Or, like, you know, we walk by a sketchy person. I'm like, pressure of this could have a permanent impact on my life. Like, I just... I recognize that I, like everyone, is selfish.
It's funny, because I think I have a pretty... I have a very... simultaneously strict and loose moral code, in the sense of, like, every day when I wake up and I go out into the world, I have a job as a human being.
Count ducks.
Count ducks. Count ducks? What do you mean?
Just bringing it back to ducks.
Oh, yeah.
Just seeing any duck you can find.
Seeing any duck. But, like, I don't know.
Goal to take no shit, do no harm.
Pretty much.
It's a good one. It was like,
it's simple.
A photo from forever ago, and I'm like, it was pretty good.
Yeah, but that really is it, of, like, just trying to ride that thin line of, like, how do you live a life that is...
But okay, that person dies in your care, but in 90 even, not even 99, not even 100, but 90 out of 100 simulations of that event with different people who went through your training and, you know, everything, if they still die... So it's like, I mean, if you're doing your job and you care, and an outcome that, like, if someone dies is out of your control, like, people are, like, eventually being a nurse, someone would die under your care. That's out of your control. Yeah. Like, you know, I'm like,
did you do I guess the question
did you do your best?
That's really what it comes down to. Did I do my best?
But your best is, what if you didn't get any sleep last night? What if we were fighting? Like we
and
always do.
And those are all in my control.
It's not.
A lot of it is. A lot of it is.
How much of life's in your control is an interesting question.
My actions. My actions are in my control. Did I not get good sleep because I drank a couple beers?
So a doctor, a surgeon who, a heart patient dies, and really out of 95 or 90% of like situations, the patient dies, but that doctor dies because like, no, they got good sleep last night. They didn't drink last night. They had a good relationship last night. But, you know, for the last 20 years, they've been overeating or over drinking, and they like, okay, so do you have to blame 20 years of actions for that? Like, were you not trying your best for 20, like how far back of action of like things can you like, you know, like be like, oh, well, I wasn't doing my best for my entire life, so I didn't treat that one situation right.
It's a big question.
We don't really have that much control.
Totally.
Because
it's funny because
I agree. Keeps going.
I agree with you there.
And your life but all of that is built on how you were in your childhood, which you didn't have control over, and your genes.
But how
which you
did
didn't
I
have
respond
control over.
to it?
You responded. How do you respond to what?
How did you respond to your circumstances? How did you play the hand you were dealt?
You responded by pressing the red button. What if that day when they were training how important the red button is, someone was like, hey, like they showed up late, but they were a good friend. They're like, hey, like my mom just died yesterday and I really need like a pencil. Like I just brought nothing. So your attention wasn't there.
Then
could you blame yourself for like, I should have just, you know?
Then you need to be accountable and you need to say, I'm not at a place where I can handle this situation. I'm not a place where I can learn. I'm not at a place where I can handle whatever I'm supposed to be accountable for. You need to have that self accountability and be like, I'm not at a place. Again, it's like you got to be really in tune and be like, I'm not at a place where I can do this. And you need to tell people and you need to communicate that and you need to own that.
Yeah.
That's all I'm saying.
I understand and respect it. And then my takeaway from this conversation is we have two paths. Mine is being extra kind and like not hold that necessarily 100% accountable. Allowing not logical gaps, because I don't really allow logical gaps. I have logic for every single situation. Like
you do.
I can argue pretty much everything because like there's logic there, but some of it involves like, hey, you know, like that day maybe whenever I was supposed to be learning that, whatever drew my attention, I didn't learn it. I didn't know that I didn't learn it, so I kept proceeding through. Like, so I'm like, I'm extra kind to myself, and you put a pressure on yourself. Neither one is right.
But that's what I'm saying.
They both led us where we are, which is a great place. So it's just two different ways that you can live.
In that situation, I'd be like, okay, I gotta like, any mistake I make is just going to turn into a lesson. Because I make mistakes all the time. We all do. And so in those situations, like there was a situation with Martin, and it was a moment also too where I realized that Martin is someone who acknowledges those subtle things that a lot of people don't acknowledge. Like you do also, of like, I said something and I was like, ooh, did that not like land right or whatever? And so like later I went to him.
Do you remember what it was?
No, I don't remember what I said, but I remember going to him and being like, hey, I said this thing and I don't know if it like came across the wrong way. And like, I just want to make sure we're good and whatever, like trying to be accountable for my actions. Cause that's all I can be accountable for. And he was like, Kenzie, the thing I really appreciate about you is that you always make sure your side of the street is clean. So that's what I'm saying. I'm like, it's okay to make mistakes, even if that person did die, right? Let's just play that scenario out of like.
So it's okay if that person died. Gotcha. You're bad. No, you should have felt pressure. If you had felt pressure, you would have performed better in that situation.
Yeah.
If you didn't perform your best.
Yeah.
We can't always be at our best in life. That's where I'm coming from.
Yeah.
Like my like.
And I know that logically.
My kindness to life and like my best. Sometimes me not at my best is me doing my best.
And that's where, did you try your best? You got to base
your
it. Your
best being, it might not, because you can't be your best for 40 years of being a nurse. You can't be your best every day.
No.
So, did you?
Your best for that day.
Yes, I'm always trying my best.
Yes.
So
are you genuinely always trying your best?
I am always trying my best, but sometimes my best is 50% of what my true potential best is. Nobody, so that's like, you know, it's really, you see how tricky it gets?
No, that's where I'm at.
Tricky.
That's where I'm at.
So then you're always trying your best.
But sometimes I'm not. Sometimes.
What does not trying your best look like?
I don't know. Maybe.
Like you are ever. Wait, when do you ever consciously say, "Yeah, I'm gonna half-ass this," unless you judge this isn't worth full-assing, in which case you're allocating resources and time and energy efficiently. What really important thing, Kenzie? Tell me a time where you had a really important opportunity that you didn't try your best. And maybe you're self-sabotaging because of things that you didn't have control over, which is like input or like anxiety or like perfection or whatever that you like were input to you from childhood. It's like we're always trying, like you people like us, a lot of people. I'm always saying everyone's the good person in their own mind.
Almost everyone is trying their best. That's
Everyone's
the whole
trying their
thing.
best.
That's the whole fucking thing.
So I also give a lot of other people a lot of
Yeah.
leeway, not just myself. I'm like very like leeway with a lot of people.
Yeah.
Like someday
like,
when you're like not doing well in terms of like
tonight, for example, I could have just been like, hey, it'd probably be the best option to like go to bed at a reasonable
and I'd be
hour.
like, you fucking retard. I'm taking more Adderall. You should take it too.
Yeah.
That's how that would have played out. It's never played out like that before, ever. But it actually would have tonight.
It's really funny.
You were trying your best because you thought, I might catch a really good stride tonight. Might get a lot done.
Yeah.
Historically, we're always trying our best. We just got to be like, it's life from my perspective. Down the road, it might change.
Mm-hmm.
It's really nice to be just like always really like just like,
because I really am trying my best.
just never blaming yourself, being friends with yourself and at peace with yourself has suited me really well.
But what if I just start slacking off?
Why would you slack off? Do you seem like the person, even without the pressure? Imagine because there's not a pressure, but there's still the glimmers toward the life you want to live.
And there's still consequences.
And there's still consequences.
I don't know why.
So then what is the pressure?
I'm very consequence based. Maybe that's like a childhood thing of like.
That's why the government creates homeless people, is to show you what could happen if you don't work hard. I mean, like, that's not a conspiracy theory, but like, you know. A lot to unpack there. That's why the government allows homeless people to exist and probably makes it easy to maybe fall there because of medical debt or random situations with no real safety net, even though blah, 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 I'm like society, like the homeless problem is a very real thing. And people are very aware of it, and it definitely makes people like, no, I gotta keep working. It's like it shows you what the falling through, like slacking off would allow. It's what people imagine would happen if you keep slacking off. Oh, I don't want to be there.
You don't want to have all the free time in the world?
Maybe I'm free.
Like a homeless person. It's such a funny line because I feel like, I mean, when you have no income, no house, you really do have a lot of opportunities if you know how to work a form and you have internet access.
Funny enough, you saying that, you have a lot of... Life's
and if
kind
you
of
have
a balance between opportunity and responsibility. Because like when we're working, like I've never really thought of this, but like when we were working full time for Youthera, we had a lot of responsibility. Not like we had opportunity, but we didn't have any time. Like so, we didn't really have opportunity because we didn't have time to allocate. And right now we have a lot of opportunity and not really a lot of responsibility. Like life's kind of like that's like a scale of life is. Like at any given time, how much responsibility to opportunity you have. It'd be fun. That might be one of the things I start habits where I was just, you can't even, because like, how can you know?
Intangible.
It's so intangible. So much of like the most meaningful, important shit in life is just intangible.
Last night was intangible. I feel like I gained a lot of perspective.
Socially, like had a good, like developed, pursued some deep core connections. Like it feels like, oh, the world's falling apart, but it's like you could look in the people who we were hanging out with and be like, we shared a moment that was really enjoyable and profound. Like so, it's like intangibles rule life. Coming from someone who loves measuring shit.
So anyway, about ducks.
We've gone over an hour. Do you want to wrap it soon? So we
can
finish getting shit done.
Yeah.
I've had a blast. This is my favorite. Not that I always want to do it drunk. Not that I'm drunk. I say drunk lightly. Like,
I know. 2
beers is drunk. Like if someone's under the influence of alcohol and like yelling like I am and just like berating, they're drunk.
Yeah.
Look at you, fucking lush. Drunky Brewster.
Drunky Brewster. Aw, look at you.
See, I'm kind to myself. Because like you just like there's one thing, there should be a class in elementary school, how to become best friends with yourself. Like, it's such a no-brainer. No one ever treats their relationship with their own mind.
If you were friends with yourself, how am I going to manipulate you
I know.
into working a job that you fucking hate
Yeah.
to become a part of society's cog?
Yeah, I go pitch that, and, like, society is like... Kind of our whole deal till now is, like, making people their own warden. Like, again, like, you know about the homeless people.
Pressure.
We showed you the homeless people.
The pressure is your own warden.
Yeah, and, you're not supposed to think things. You're definitely not supposed to do things. So if we make people friends with themselves, like, that breaks down the idea that I'm your warden. I make you your own warden. Like, it wouldn't probably
and that's
jive
the
well.
Best good marketing.
Yeah.
Let's be real.
Propaganda is the best marketing. Kind of is though. I mean, like, let's be honest. Like, man, propaganda throughout time is like probably dictated the majority of a lot of people. Like communism, Hitler, all those things was just propaganda. It was really good marketing. It was really good marketing. If you're a future dictator out there, get in touch. We'll like we'll suss out if we jive. We'll suss out, like maybe it's like there's some necessary evil in there.
Oh my god.
But we think overall it'll be a net positive. I would make propaganda. I'd love to make propaganda at some point in life. What? What? Am I being too kind to myself? But
Oh, it's really funny. It is funny though how similar like propaganda. See, that's why marketing has a bad connotation, is because it's like you could argue that propaganda literally it is just marketing.
Yeah, it's making people buy shit they don't want. It's making people want to live a lifestyle they don't want. I don't want to travel, but I see an ad on Airbnb. Oh, that sounds fun. I want to travel. That's not what a travel. That's not what a trip's like. That's not what it's like. That's not what that.
It's having a
like.
bellyache. It's having a fucking bellyache. It's holding
like,
gas.
it's
it's
like,
sitting in a plane. Yeah.
So it's like, like all marketing really is propaganda. That's why I'm like, the best marketing really is. This has been a really fun part. I've learned a lot about myself just by like saying out loud things that I've never said. We've lived together 7 years. You probably haven't heard a lot of what I've said tonight. I think one of the most important things to instill in a kid, and a skill that many people can develop, is to just be really good friends with yourself. You're stuck with yourself all the time. Like, we're stuck with each other. We're stuck with each other all the time, and we're best friends. If I started giving you pressure, imagine I started putting pressure on you, Kenzie. Imagine I started being like, Kenzie, this video's got to be your best. This has got to be your best work. I don't care if you're tired. I don't care.
I would keep working.
This has to be your best work.
See, that's
would you really?
Yes.
Oh, if you started treating me like that, I'm like, bitch. First off, you speak when spoken to now.
And that's why I love you.
Yeah. But I'm like, do you think that would make people laxative? I'm like, I'm not a laxative person.
But what this has made me realize is like,
drug addicts, like ourselves and everyone we like, have an internal fire. An internal something's got something, and you being pressure on yourself doesn't. I'm not trying to tell you how to live your life.
No, I just feel like I'm seeing a lot of things from like childhood just kind of come up of like, I mean, I'm sure being like you've seen videos of like drill sergeants like yelling at their cadets or whatever. I'm sure that translated slightly into my rearing. I mean, think about it.
It's funny that you, having an upbringing of like cop, military, like all that stuff.
You see what I mean?
But you're so much further along in terms of like not your own warden than most people are. Like the fact that you're here coming from there is kind of insane.
I know. It's pretty weird. I don't know why. I don't know.
And it's not the worst thing in the world. Again, it's a champagne problem.
Totally.
I love who was it? Like someone that we were talking to is like, maybe it was at the river. They're like, oh, like I don't like calling things champagne problems because it's like saying it's not that bad. But I'm like, it's really, really, really nice to like just put problems in their like give them their fair due of like this is a nice problem to have. Like not like the car breaking when you're broke and like you're at a low in life. That's not like, oh, that's a champagne problem.
Yeah.
But like realistically, if you can actually like kind of like your problem in life is that like you put pressure, like a low amount of like not enough pressure that you're having migraines
psychotic
or stomach
breaks,
aches or psychotic breaks or you can't work or you have anxiety or you need to have SSRI. Like the amount of pressure you have is like, oh yeah, I'm getting stuff done, but like maybe I feel pressure on myself. Like that's a champagne problem. You'll work it out. Those bubbles,
It's just figuring out what level, how serious.
How do you train a kid to be really good friends with himself and to not like, again, that was the biggest thing you said last night is the difference between respect and courtesy. Like, how do you, like, between those two things, because if kids are really good friends with themselves and, like, super lenient, so you have a super loose moral code, but you have courtesy of, I see you, and I'm like whatever, my freedom ends where it starts infringing on your freedom. Like, that's the basis of, like, libertarianism and, like, free market capitalism is you as an individual, sovereign human being, the government doesn't control in any way, your freedoms extend as far as they can until they start infringing on another person's rights. Like until you start infringing on their freedom to not have you do something that imposes upon them. To me, that just seems so like basic human nature of like, wait, really? I can take drugs. Like I can start a bit. I can do anything. But like if I pollute a river, oh, that infringes on other people's rights because they use that river. That's like so many things. Like I don't know.
It's funny because okay, so I'm best friends with myself in the sense that like I have a moral code that is my best friend. Of like I'm gonna do my best. I'm gonna try and do good in the
moral
world.
Code's your best friend, or you're friends with yourself as long as you follow a moral code?
Yes, the
Okay.
second one.
Okay.
Right, because did I do harm? Did I, what was it?
Do no harm, take no shit. So that's a really important part.
Do no harm, take no shit.
So your moral code's built on base truths that you've realized through experience that no matter how much you attack with logic, you're like, no, those are core base truths.
You're not going to hurt me.
You're not going to hurt me.
You're not going to hurt me.
And there's no logic in the world that could prove to me that that's not a real thing that's beneficial to me living right now, right?
Yep.
Other people are like have strong like Caleb has like strong moral codes.
Because that's something like with military and stuff is like you have a moral code. You have a code. And so, like
but at one point being a vegan was part of your moral code.
Ooh.
And you were best friends with yourself as long as you followed that more. Like Caleb right now is like vegetarian to the point where the packaging,
ate a hamburger.
Yeah. But like, to the point where even like your base truths, every once in a while you can still look at them and just be like, okay, well, let me try attacking it with the current, because you're building up a framework of approaching every problem in life of being like, I have all these things that I know are true. I don't have to think about them. They're frameworks that I live my life by. But you can still question them with like as soon as you build new ones.
Yeah. So like the question was like, how do you teach a kid those things? It's like, build your moral code, build what is important to you, and they can change.
What moral code did I have even by the time I was 18? Like it seems like for me, I start building my own moral code like really the last like maybe 5-10 years. Like my moral code up until then was a lot of what society told me. Like so maybe you have to tell kids common courtesy and to just start being aware of when a situation doesn't go well, why it didn't go well, and not like what you could have done differently, because you couldn't have done anything differently. Having no free will, it's funny that like Christian people believe in free will, because I'm like, believing in no free will is that's part of why I'm so kind to myself, and part of why I'm like, I'm always trying my best, is I didn't have the free will to have known that was an important moment and that I had to try my best then. I'm always trying my best. So I'm like, I give myself ultimate grace in retrospect. That's why I hate when people are like, shouldn't have gotten that DUI, that's why I'm like, I don't blame, but as long as it's not a core character trait, like I can see it in you that you're a person of violence or whatever.
Yeah.
So, but like, I don't know. Like it seems like just setting the kid up to just be reflective. And telling them society is so wrong about so many things.
Just not to like blind trust.
Even me. Don't even blindly trust me.
Don't trust. Yeah, exactly. Don't blindly trust anyone but yourself.
Yes, but your own. You are not your thoughts. You're your judgment and your perception. That's what you should trust. Yep. You have to reality test it, which means, okay, you learned something from that interaction not going well. Now try integrating what you think is the what I learned from last night is save some party for tomorrow. Like if I like reality test
such a good line. I really like that. It has a good sentiment. It's catchy. It's simple.
Me in the middle
good marketing words.
I know. Me in the middle of throwing up after like probably 2 hours of throwing up.
I'm just like, more party
and I'm just sitting there. I'm like, I should have just saved some of this party for tomorrow. I'm like, okay, like that's a reflection I have, and I'll reality test it. Maybe sometime I will not take an Adderall late, and unbeknownst to me, and out of 100 simulations if I'd taken the Adderall, I would have come up with this person would have texted me. Mark would have texted me at 3 a.m. and said, "Are you present?"
Yep.
And it would, so it's like you can never blame yourself for not taking an opportunity that you're. It's all about like it kind of like it's like throwing dice.
Yeah.
And if you see good odds based on previous experience,
and that's the follow God thing.
Yeah, follow God. It's follow God.
And that's kind of like follow your gut.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. God is your gut. God is Buddha. God is energy of the universe. God is the direction that so it's like but no, just my at least closing thought, this is like our longest pod, and it's been great and easy.
I had a lot of big thoughts that I was like, I gotta hash this out with somebody, and like the best way to get your like really laser focus is to be like, hey, you want to do a podcast?
It is.
You want to do a podcast? Podcast?
It's
Podcast?
It's funny that I always joke that it works on other people, like successful people. I'm like, oh, you tell them you'll record it, and they'll be like, oh, I'm there, no matter who hears it. And me, even knowing that potentially no one will hear this, I'm like, valuable, do it.
Capture.
100% attention. Be at your best. Take an extra Adderall just to fucking do it. It's worth it. It's like,
wow.
It's a fucking drug. Much like the other thing I realized the other night is not to think of drug, and that'd be a great thing to instill in kids. Not to think of drugs as something valuable just because you happen to get it or because you happen to buy it. Doesn't make it valuable. It doesn't even make it worth that amount of money.
True.
If it doesn't serve you.
Look at NSTs. NFT.
If it would cause you like to not feel good or to be a negative thing in your life, it's not valuable. Throw it away or but I'm like that. Yeah, I don't know. But for some reason, podcasts feel valuable in the way that drugs feel valuable. Like if you have a little drug, if you have the opportunity to speak in a way that's recorded in high def is a big aspect of it. I wouldn't, if this was recorded on our phones, if this was recorded with us pressing record right there, I wouldn't have given this a quarter of my attention. The room that I've created here and the fact that you're kind of like, okay, I have to sit right here and I'm looking directly at you.
That's why when you were like, bed or podcast room, I'm like, podcast room.
Yeah. Okay,
all
imagine
right.
we're on two chairs sitting right here looking at each other and there's one camera pointing at us. So it's really easy to set up. You'd just be like, oh, okay, it deserves half attention. There's something about sitting in a room. You have the same back. Like, it's entrancing in a weird way, isn't it? You start to be like, it's almost like you're talking to yourself. It's almost like you're talking to like an enemy.
And this is where I get like with the Adderall, like the late Adderall, is sometimes the vibes are just,
I'm going to be pressing on the fucking that box.
What?
I'm going to be pressing on that box after this ends.
Oh my God.
Kidding.
I don't know about that. I'm
tired.
I got what I wanted.
I want to eat pot stickers.
Nice.
I'll teach you how to make pot stickers. Costco pot stickers. Look them up. Kirkland. I rep Kirkland.
I would rep Kirkland all day long.
So funny. On all my screen printers, all this chaotic stuff, and then just really small on everyone it has Kirkland.
Kirkland?
I didn't know Kirkland makes shirts. They don't. I just rep them.
I know.
I wish we could have recorded like podcasts, like Kentai podcasts, like the year we met. I wish I'd started podcasting that soon because I've like listened when Mike Trung reached out, the Portland person. I like went back and listened to some of them. I'm like, what a retard I was. Like, fun.
Yeah,
I'm trying.
Yeah.
I'm following God. I'm putting one foot in front of the next. I don't have I want this outcome. I said there's a lot of outcomes that I foresee this skill integrating into. That's what I think. To bring it all the way back to the beginning. I love doing
the main question.
I love doing that. And I think I'm pretty good at podcasts.
Yeah,
okay, so wherever we're at meandering, let's find a way to bring it back to the beginning. I really think that what served me and what's one of my core truths, and Nelson said it. Nelson was my academic advisor.
That Nelson.
Yeah, that Nelson. Sigrid Nelson.
Sigrid Nelson.
Like when I was asking people, what are your like pieces of advice for life? Like my mom wrote some on the way back from Mexico. You and I have some.
Oh, the 12 principles?
Yeah, whatever our principles are for life.
Yeah.
He gave me a couple. One is, I love both of them. One is, it's chaos, be kind.
That's good.
That's
shirt worthy.
Yeah, it's a quote from someone else, but it's like it was one of his core truths that was like I asked Freedom at the end of the podcast. I'm like, do you have any like core truths that you live by? He's like, there's a million I could list, like you blah blah blah, and they're all like fake. But I'm like, no, you
think for yourself,
one that's
fucker.
So deep inside of you that didn't just serve you for part of life. Like we all eventually develop more and more of these little frameworks that follow you. You can get rid of some, but like you have a stack at any time.
Do no harm, take no shit.
It's funny. It's one of mine.
It's funny how long that has stayed.
It's one of mine.
7 years.
It was a meme that you shared. You showed me, and you're like, "This is like me." I'm like, "That's great. That's part of why I respect you is because you do none of that. I'd like to be respectable in that way. I'm gonna start living that way. Like it's shareable." You can take your stack of mental frameworks and you can try to share them with people. And if any of them even sort of make sense or if people hear some of it, and then as they go along and they have the next experience and they're like, oh my God, that sounds like this thing that someone said. It can then be one of their mental frameworks. That's why that's the way I do a podcast.
That's why I like media. That's why I like social media is because it is a way for like It's good shit. It's good shit to disseminate.
I love that Mark likes that song.
Yeah.
It was so good.
I know,
going over there and
yeah.
having him hear
Very,
it.
very seen. Very validated. So second truth of Nelson. Secret Nelson. It's chaos be kind.
It's chaos be kind, which DMT really played a role in terms of like, you're like, oh, it's so chaotic. Like, you want to be back to nature. I'm like, it's chaos. I should just be kind to myself. I got myself into this mess. I'm going to ride it out. Like seriously though. And so a lot of like when a lot of shit's going on in life, I'm like, I'm going to be kind to myself. The first person you should be kind to is yourself. How many of these people did we tell about like the landlord and JC and everything? Like, you know, some people are like, oh, it's like, you know, some people are like, nice, we're on your team. But other people are like, you should be nice to them. Like,
you don't even know.
You're not even nice to yourself.
You don't even fucking know.
You don't even fucking know, but you're not nice to yourself.
That's what about Freedom's podcast that it was so apparent. He's not fucking kind to himself.
It's apparent when people are kind to themselves.
Yeah.
I think that's the thing that people probably notice the very first
Is
about
that
me.
the first thing that you should like look for in someone? Are they kind to themselves? Martin's kind to himself.
Mark is very kind to himself.
Oh shit.
It's something that's...
Oh shit.
That's why I'm like, I'm not going to tell people how to live their lives. But like, you know, think of okay, someone who's really not kind to themselves, Kenzie, is anxious and depressed. Because they're their own warden and they're not fucking kind enough to themselves. Yeah. I think that's like to break, like I'm learning a lot about myself. That's part of the reason that like how I approach, like people like must see me and be like, oh, they're crazy. They must be really fucking kind to themselves. How does he sleep at night? Wow. And I am. And I just feel so good and at peace. Just honestly,
no shame.
No shame. Any joke, anything. Just to be like, not me. I'm not those thoughts. I am what I think of those thoughts. And no matter what I think of those thoughts, it's not illegal. It's not immoral. Action, like thoughts aren't even, like words aren't even, like really aren't that bad of things. You can say anything. It's not really like gonna cause someone.
Yeah.
And then actions are bad. Words are can maybe kind of bad.
Because they can influence people, which is what makes them bad. If they're said in a poignant enough way by someone who's like influential or, you know, whatever.
There's a good argument to be made that, like, I mean, if World War II didn't happen, what the Geneva, like, I mean, the Kingsman movie ended with, it wasn't the Geneva Convention, but like the Venice Accord or whatever it was.
Yeah.
It's like, that doesn't seem like it's going to go well. It's like, it essentially put Germany in a situation that even if not Hitler, someone was bound, like, so it's like people are primed for like understandable things. So it's like that was a situation that was bound to occur. Or like certain situations, it's like, you know, like, I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't think words are that bad. Like if you prime something in someone, that means or if you like ignite something, that means
playing
that
the cards. Germany played the cards.
Yeah.
Not justifying it.
Yeah.
Not
like that
whatever.
means that there's like prime Tinder sitting there. It's like you just happen to be the spark by saying that, but it's like a matter of time until someone says that and they do that.
Yeah.
I don't know. Like that's getting outside of my territory.
Yeah.
Where I'm coming from.
Yeah.
This was really fun because I realized one of my biggest strengths in life is I don't think everyone's best friends with themselves.
No. That's apparent.
That's the darkest thing in the world. Because I'm with myself a lot and all the time. Like, that's probably the reason I can take so many psychedelics is because like, psychedelics make you loud to yourself.
Yeah.
And if I was loud to myself and I was in there and because I'm like on the like I mean I've had horror like
that's been your best DMT selling point, just so you know.
Oh yeah, I mean like the other night I think you went to sleep and I did an all nighter and I like not K-hold but I took some ketamine and DMT and it was really enjoyable for a while and then it became not enjoyable in the sense of like I'm not deriving any like learning out of this. It's not euphoric. It's not whatever. But like I just sat and it almost seemed like life was. Like, even though I was in a pitch dark room, it's like, oh, it's all closing in on me. But you can just sit there and look at it. I'm like, oh, it can close in as much as it wants. It can't touch me. This is my mind. Oh, and then I'm like, oh, well, I tried this because I thought, like, in the past, I'd learned some things and had a really good time. So I thought, hey, logically, maybe I'll try it again. Like, you can always be kind. Like, you know how I always silver lining everything? You can do that in your own mind. That'd be a good challenge for people.
Newsflash. No.
Newsflash. Just be fucking kind. Like people need a therapist to tell them that they're allowed to be kind to themselves. That's all that. That's why I don't like therapists. Is because it's like the same as shamans. It's like, I think therapists are really important because for me to be kind to myself, I need someone else to
external
tell me.
validation.
Yeah, I need someone else to tell. And then you still aren't kind to yourself. You're letting society allow you to be kind to yourself. No one can allow.
It's not a good business model.
Not a good business model.
No,
it's not sustainable. No. They're not always going to be there. They're not always going to be right. They're going to have an off. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. I don't mean to like just fucking riff
Yeah.
on it forever, but like I've learned something big about myself. I want to make one of the screen print designs just like the most important thing in life. Be kind to yourself. So fucking critical. And
What was the second thing that Secret Nelson said?
okay, so it's chaos, be kind, and 2, you may not know where you're going, but just keep putting one foot in front of the next.
That's good advice.
That's like why I've kept doing what I've been doing.
What's he doing now? Is he still just...
I'd love to reach back out to him. Like I should put
Dude
that on the
seems
list.
profound.
He was. I love the man.
Profound.
And like a lot of what I'm doing in terms of like writing the screenplay, like everything.
That's what
I'm
we're
like,
doing right now.
That's what we're doing. And that's why
Yeah.
you're like, I don't know where we're going. I'm like, I haven't known where I'm going for any of that. I didn't know where I was going when I met Mark. I didn't know where we were going when we met Martin. We're not going to know where we're going when we get our next best opportunity unless we're just continue. We're like, okay, today we put a foot in front. We practiced with the gimbal.
So here's the thing with that is I think I'm someone in the sense of like, you know how you were talking about reframing? You're like, Kenzie, you can reframe so quickly. I can make a plan. I can spend hours on a strategy. I can spend weeks, months, whatever. I can spend endless amounts of time on a strategy. But if a better route puts itself in front of me, I'm going to be like, that.
So this is perfect. And this is why like, so for so long you perceived that I was like against planning. I'm not against planning. Unless it's a very like obvious thing of like, oh, okay, we should go work for Youthera. Where it presents itself and I say, okay, now that's the plan. It's so easy to click onto. The plan should be really vague. Because, hey, our goal is to get better at marketing and media and meet like network and build relationships. That's my goal.
Yeah.
I'm walking in that direction.
Yeah.
And then my whole goal, like the Naval thing, is to just be aware when like I don't have an ego involved in which direction I'm going within that kind of that general route that, you know, like, so that's why I'm bad at planning is I don't have a specific plan. Like the money, how much money do you need for X? I'm like, that's a vague idea that you can't put a number on it. As soon as you put a number on it, you get that amount of money and you're not happy.
I like to have benchmarks though. I like to have like more.
So you can judge yourself and have pressure to get those benchmarks. Kidding. Sorry.
Oh, I don't care.
No, I like benchmarks too.
No,
For the
I
ego.
think
Benchmarks are great for the ego.
it's not even for the ego.
And we all have it. I'm not saying it's enough.
just
I don't have one.
It's just for communicating between each other. Like
Between each other, like me and you, or me and us and clients?
no. Well, a little column A, a little column B.
Yeah.
Like
35 million organic views is a benchmark that we hit.
Yeah.
But we didn't set that benchmark before we hit it.
No.
We were walking in a direction with a general goal. All I'm saying, again, Nelson.
I'm completely open. I'm down to change the path. Sometimes the path doesn't present itself until you keep putting that foot in front of the other. But I'm saying
because of that, how you can have a vague path. You can have a vague direction.
Yeah.
And even when things are most desperate, I acted the most nonchalant, and it's when it paid off.
Yeah.
It's life. It's my way of life testing me in terms of like pressure. It's saying, hey, here's a big pressure situation. You're just about out of your unemployment and out of money. Here's a big opportunity for a job. Are you going to really seem like you need that job? Or are you going to play it cool as a cucumber? That's my test in terms of like someone falling and dying is it's like, do I really, really deeply believe that I don't need to push it and I can just like allow it to play out as how, like that's me. If I was pushing that, it wouldn't have gone like, that was me not we didn't push that. We didn't push Archimoto and we didn't push Youthera.
A little. I don't know.
I don't think we pushed them. I think we were just very.
But we kept making like, hey, let's meet, let's do this. Like
following up in nice ways because we were friends. Yeah. And then they would bring. It was a very tango. They were interested as well. We were just playing the field. We were playing the field.
So what you're saying is life's a dance, and that it's it's a little bit of jazz, it's a little bit of improv,
and don't cut in.
Bit of...
Don't like pushing is like cutting out. Like I really want to dance with this person. Meanwhile, there's this like wonderful, great dancer who wants to dance with you. But if you're like just so obsessed with like, well, I before the dance started, I saw, and you're like stuttering to yourself. I saw them across the room, and I'm like, I need to dance with them. But like, if you're just like, cool, I'll go. And I hate dancing. This is a horrible metaphor for me to even make. But I'm like, you're just kind of open to like looking around, and you're like dancing the way you want to dance, and someone else is dancing that way, and then you like lock eyes, and you're like, yeah, that's what we're doing. That's what I'm doing. And that's why I'm kind to myself, as I'm like, it's worked. We are putting one foot. Pretty much every day, even our rest days. Even our rest days, we're working, Kenzie.
I know.
Even when we're fucking resting, watching TV all fucking day, are we not saying that's a really good idea for a shot? That's what makes that movie really good. we're constantly working. Every waking minute that we're awake.
Wouldn't want to have it any other way.
I wouldn't want to have it any other way. That's like we chase the glimmer. We're glimmer chase. I don't like the word glimmer, but like something chasers.
Oh, really? Why?
I want it to be shorter. Like
I like glimmer. It's cute.
Cool. I like
it's
it.
precious.
Until I find out with like, again, I'm not going to come up with a problem unless I have a solution.
All right, great.
But I'm coming up with a better one. Coming in strong.
Glimmer chasers.
Glimmer chasers. It doesn't have a ring to it, but like we are chasing glimmers.
Yeah.
You know.
Chasing glimmers.
But yeah, that's how I feel. I feel really heard. I feel like I got to kind of, you know, man, I get why people drink publicly, like socially. Like me drinking socially, I'm like,
you don't need it.
I'm
You
like,
don't need drinking.
I could get here.
Yeah.
Almost any, and like I've taken almost 0 Phenibut today. Like I'm even off that.
Nice. Congrats.
But for a while, you could see why I may have abused it, not to reduce anxiety, but to really just keep like building and unlocking that aspect to me. I'm like, nah.
No.
Hey, how about what if you never, ever, ever judged yourself or had any shame or anxiety about anything
I think that's the
ever?
main reason why people drink.
Yeah. So I just took Xanax to. I'm like, what if I was drunk all day, every day? And then like you really learn things fast because you act like really genuinely, or I acted really genuinely, and then I get like a feedback and be like, okay, well, and then it's a core-based truth. And like, but like when we were saying like, oh, is he a danger to himself? I'm like, no, some people aren't a danger to themselves because as some people's core principles, violence isn't an option. Yeah. So like, well, you know, I build a core principle, and then I'm like, even when I'm acting like I'm auto-correcting as some, you know, like, you know, my core-based truths, like I've learned quickly. And you're just a great person, like environment to be around. So many partners, every step of my process. Or like of my like growth, you'd be like, Tiger, what do you mean sunscreen isn't good for you? Tiger, what do you mean it's not bad if someone dies under my care? Like you never guilt or like society warden me. Like if anything, like I think a lot of people, they're their own warden. And then their partner's their own warden, and then their friends are their own warden. Yeah. And I don't let my friends be my warden. That's like a guarantee. I'm like, okay, if you push on me, I will get worse.
If I can't be my own warden, the fuck makes you think that you're gonna be mine?
This is the fast route to me saying the N-word just to see how you'll react. I'm like, I will test your boundaries. I will, and then I do what people like freedom. Essentially, like certain people start like telling me, no, here, and I'm like. Yeah. Jab, undercut, like just like logical, like hey, like what if I
no, you're
completely
fucking,
wreck you?
You can be mean, not mean,
it's
but
not even mean.
Quick.
You're
just quick.
Yeah. I'm just fair, fair and kind. I don't know.
You're quick. You're quick with logic, but yes.
But again, I'll literally listen to this, and I started the podcast like 4 years ago, so I'll listen to this in 4 years and be like, what a fucking drunk retard.
Maybe not
using that word's not cool because by then I'll probably have a retarded friend, because I would love one, and not even like, oh, that's like a token figure, which is a very specific word in my life, which Tiger you'll recognize, but
call back.
Like I'll have a friend who's retarded, who I genuinely, because retarded, like, you know, they probably don't have a lot of society ruling them.
They don't,
you know, so
they're beautiful little glimmers.
Again, exactly. Yeah. Like I've been friends with people, but like having one and then hanging out with them and like having a kind of like a key, like, you know, like how we have like some like, you know, we have some like things. If someone's like being mean, if I could just like give them that look and then having them be like, you know, you're really like having a retarded person like tell you in a non like emotional way, but like, you know, you're a bad person. Like how many people take that so much more seriously and you can't attack in any way? They're very factual. It would be so impactful. So I'm like, you know, like, I mean, like I have one, but a second retarded best friend. No, but like, you know, I'm like, you know, I don't know. I'm sure I'll be like, that word's really uncool. But right now, like I'm enjoying trying my best. Like, I mean, just today, like, just I feel like I'm the person who's continuing the podcast when we should end it.
Oh, I'm having fun.
Okay.
Keep it up. Keep it up. I love that sound. I hate how much I love that sound. It's not even because of alcohol. It's just because of my like addiction to caffeine. It's a good sound. Anyway,
I included in like the first EDM song I ever made, the drop hit with someone like with the sound. I heard it on like one of those sound effects. I'm like, that's a killer sound.
So what about you and retards? I never say that word.
You've been saying it occasionally. In passing.
Really?
Yeah, like today you said it.
Right now?
I don't know. In my head, as soon as you said it, I was like, that's funny. Kenzie said she doesn't like hate that word, but she doesn't like the way that she like it sounds when she comes out. But I'm like, I'm curious if, because I said it to my mom and she like reacted in a way like it, like, you know, built to like a level of like saying words that society says not to say. And then if you're like okay with, you're not going to judge that person. It builds a lot. It's like doing drugs with a person. Like if I sit down and we're doing coke or ketamine together, so like some drug together, it's like a level of like, hey, we're not going to fucking call the law on each other.
It's a little bit like a powwow.
It's like a
in
powwow.
the sense of like it's closed doors. It's a little bit like you have dirt on me, I have dirt on you.
Yes. So if saying the word retard, like I did with my mom when we were hanging out today, and her doing that is kind of like if you're not going to push back on this and you like just sort of chill with it, it's like an understanding that we're speaking openly. We're not we're not gating. Like there's some weird unspoken things about like doing things this, and I partially do it specifically because society says not to. I'm like, I obviously have zero ill will toward anyone who's like their mom drank when they were in the womb, or
I don't think you have ill will towards anyone for no reason.
No, or any group of people.
The only ill will you have is for people who have personally wronged you and is earned.
Or who has wronged someone I care about. Like I don't like Kim. Like I like. Yeah. It can be you are an extension. Like people who I love are an extension of me. You know.
Like I've never had. I've had very very
so
seldom.
You don't feel guilty about feeling. You.
Oh,
can
it makes
feel
me
that.
feel guilty.
You don't have to. That's my whole. And the part of it is to just again. I provoke people to come to their own conclusions.
Sometimes it's not helpful.
It might not be.
That's not helpful because people like Kim, they slander, and there's communities, and they, you know, if you say enough things, eventually, like, you know, that word can build out, and people can create these own narratives and things like that. That's why I think words are very impactful, is because like they spiral.
I don't mind what people say, but I mean, like Thomas was here the other day, and he told me someone that we both know doesn't like me. And I'm like, for any reason, like because of my political beliefs, or he's like, just in general. I'm like,
but it's when like there's a community and like a group.
But if like someone's like, I think Tiger, like I've openly like created situations to be like, oh, like here's a very valid reason to think that I might be racist, right? Like I've presented that because someone thinks I'm racist, and like the talk, it's like the Kevin, the shitty like little fucking rat way of living of like talking with other people.
But those rats hang out with people who are in charge or you know whatever. But it's like
people who are large and in charge don't take respect from rats. I don't think people
sometimes
like
they do.
People like Martin and
sometimes they you know campaign for them to get royalties. Right?
Yeah, but if one of those people talks shit about us, hopefully if someone's talked to me and then they've talked to a rat of a person who spreads drama, yeah, and again, what can you do? I'm following God. But like essentially if like someone thinks I'm racist and they're like bring it up, I'm like I enjoy
it's just so far away from my moral code of like...
Yeah, you're not a racist person because I'd be doing harm. That's a core part of your... like. Yeah. See, I see you like that. You're someone who does no harm and takes no shit.
Try.
But sometimes you do take some shit.
I take a lot of... It's what I'm working on. It's my freedom.
I take no shit.
You don't.
I don't do no harm. I do no harm, but it's like, you know, I'd like
You're
to
willing
be someone...
to.
I'm willing to.
See, I daydream about it. I'm working on the do no harm part. You're someone who would.
You're working on the take no shit part.
Or take no shit part. Yeah, I'm real good at one side of that coin, but the other side I'm
working on the do no harm, but like not in the way that like people would think I do no harm, but like, you know, I'd like to be I've been telling my mom, like I'd like to change my middle name to Karma. Like I'd like to be someone who can just like at the end, like that's the time I really feel bad in life is like I don't like bad people getting away with good.
Then why not justice?
At the end
instead of karma, why not justice?
Yeah, because justice is like government. The government controls what justice is.
See, if you read Four Agreements, you would know that's not.
Is it not? That's how I think maybe a lot of people.
Justice is
the person standing there with the balancing things.
No, I get it.
Okay,
I get it.
Yeah.
The Four Agreements, the whole point of it is justice is not having to continually pay for a crime you did over and over and over. Which maybe you might not resonate with because...
A crime you did again and again, or pay over and over and over
you
again
do a
for
crime,
a crime you did once?
Yes.
Okay.
And if you're not someone who has that, like, internal nagging or whatever, that's how I'm phrasing it. Because, like, you know, that joke, that meme of, like, when you're laying in bed at night and you're thinking about the thing that happened in fucking 5th grade or whatever that keeps coming back up of like, oh, remember when you said that really stupid thing? That's not justice. Justice is
just us.
I don't know. It might be too lit.
I mean, I think we're talking about the same thing.
Yeah. Potato.
I think it is karma because I think I at least had the connotation, and I assumed a lot of people who haven't.
You get the amount that's coming to you. It's like a debt.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I hate the end of No Country for Old Men.
Yeah.
If that guy didn't at least get in the car crash and break his arm,
yeah,
wouldn't you have felt like,
what a fucker?
Kind of wanted to see what was coming to that guy fucking come to him.
Yeah.
Everyone feels that deep down. Everyone feels a sense of karma and or justice. Yeah. And if no one's in reality to give a very calibrated or calculated amount of it, because it's uncalibrated when it's not in your in what you were saying. Justice is like, oh, you keep dealing with
calibrated. That's a good word. I like that.
Yeah, and that's what I think. Like, why I think karma is so fair. It's like what you give is what you get.
Yep.
And sometimes what you give, you have to get 2x. Like, so, like, I think just because it's a lot more spiritual than justice.
Yeah, I get that.
Because it's all intangible.
I get that.
You know, it's
plus
like, okay,
karma sounds way
so
cooler.
if you kill someone, do you deserve to get murdered? If you
Depends.
if you hit
was that person you murdered a piece of shit?
You're driving and you hit a person on the road. Just like, you accidentally severe. You killed someone, so you deserve to die because that's like, but like karma's or like
an eye for an eye.
Yeah, it's like justice feels very eye for an eye to me. It's like, there's people in jail.
It doesn't take on the nuances.
It doesn't take on the nuances. Like karma's very intangible to me at least. So I like karma as an idea of like, okay, I've really kind of calibrated what I think this person's done. And within lies of the law, I think this is due justice for that person that I would feel like
watering the weeds.
Like I didn't get away just getting the best of me taken of. I don't like being taken. No one likes being taken advantage of. No one likes getting. So like essentially that's like the one time in life where I ever feel like regret. Is not getting not giving people the karma that they deserve for bad. There's not that many people in life, and I really haven't doled it out to almost anyone.
No.
So for a long time I'd say it in my mind, and lately I've said it out loud, and then I'm like, yeah.
It's time for the actions to start coming up with the words. Yeah.
And maybe I'll reality test it, and I'll realize no, that person did. The landlords did just get cancer. They didn't deserve that. I feel bad. I won't do that again. Because I'm good at reframing, because we're good at reframing. So it's like, again, it's all just reality testing, all of life. We almost did 2 hours. This is an hour and 45 minutes. It was fun.
I feel seen. I feel validated.
I feel seen and validated. I feel so good. I feel like I know more about myself.
And now I gotta smash.
It's a race to the toilet, folks. Do you have any closing thoughts?
Nope.
It's chaos. Be kind.
Ducks.
Keep putting one foot in front of the next. Have a generalized goal.
And fourth is ducks.
Ducks. Duck. When in doubt, duck.
Duck.
All right, bye, everyone.